intangible, inseparable, perishable, and variable. Then we need to not only know that, this is how they're different, we need to know what each one means. So, what does intangible mean? You can't really touch it, right? You can't really touch a surface. What does inseparable mean?
Can't separate.
You can't really separate them. So, you can't separate a hotel bed from a hotel. You gotta have both. You can't have one without the other if you're going to a hotel. Variable. If I go to Starbucks and the service is awesome, and then I go to Starbucks the next day, I can tell that, that person hasn't had their, double shot espresso or whatever for the morning yet. I'm seeing some variation in the service that I'm getting. So service is not always the same. Then they can be perishable as well. So we want to look at those, what they mean, how they work. Our gaps model, this looks a little bit scary. What I really want you to focus on are these 4 things here, these different gaps. How are they created and how can we overcome them? So if we have, know that they're all service gaps, so definitely just know what they are and then how you overcome them. 5 different things for evaluating service quality. You guys don't even know what reliability means or tangibles or anything, but just know these 5 are part of the service quality. So if you get a question on the test that says which one is not something that you evaluate, to be able to recognize which 5 would be. Zone of tolerance, know what this means, how it's measured. I'm not going to ask you guys, I'm not going to give you a graph or chart like what we saw with this chapter, but definitely know what it is and how it's used. Our delivery gap, so here's how we can, reduce our delivery gaps. There's 3 different areas there. Kind of know a little bit about those. Our communications gap, here's how we can kind of close up the gap. Counseling that you can deliver, communications. 5 P's of pricing. This one I could do a lot with. There's 5. So just know what those are, kind of know how they work a lot. Several of these had economic stuff that was kind of going on in there. I'm not going to ask you guys to do math. I'm not going to ask you guys to remember any sort of equations. But I do want you to be aware of what price elasticity means and supply chain of demand and how that is used. So know the overall main concepts of the economic theory that is used with the 5 C's, but don't, freak out about trying to memorize any sort of equations or see numbers on the test. This slide here, there's about at least 2 questions, I think, that relate to these type of actions on the test. So kind of know what they are. If you saw a question that dealt with one of these, be able to determine which one it is. Just know what each one of those are. Then we have our stuff. This part's from chapter 13A, the part that didn't make it into your book. 3 different pricing methods. Just know a little bit about what happens in each one. Specifically in the value-based one and market penetration pricing. How does that kind of work? What's good? Good things, not so good things in that area.
Will that PowerPoint be on D12?
Yeah, this is on D12, 13A.
Okay.
So this is all on there.
I'm sorry, what chapter is this?
This is not in your book. I call it 13A. It's the PowerPoint on D12 called 13A. We covered it in one of our class periods. It's stuff that your book left out that you probably shouldn't have. Here, pricing tactics, you guys are pretty familiar with these. But if I were to give you an example and say, Joe went to the new Lexus in town and wanted to use one for a year, what type of pricing tactic would work here? Yes, it would go under the leasing area. Or if I go to McDonald's and buy a Happy Meal, what type of pricing tactic is this? Bundles. Yeah, so you guys kind of know this one. Which ones do, tell me why manufacturers like rebates.
Because customers never do.
Customers don't always use them. So yeah, so kind of just know a little bit about, each of these different areas, how they would kind of be used. Kind of saw a question, what it might look like. Same thing for our business tactics. I kind of given the example, if I live in Texas and it's July and we're trying to sell heaters, what might we do to try and sell them? We might offer a seasonal discount and say, hey, if you buy, if you order your heaters by August, we'll give you a 10% discount. Because we know that nobody needs a heater in Dallas or in Texas the month of July and August. I don't think they ever need that. So, that might be an example of a seasonal discount. We have our supply chain management, this is in chapter 14. Know the difference between a marketing channel and logistics. They're kind of similar, but what makes them different? The EDI, I'm not going to ask you guys about these 5 things. I want to know really what EDI is and why they would use it. Tona,
Can you look to the west side?
this one? Okay, marketing and logistics.
Okay, you can do that.
Okay, is everybody else? The distribution center, this again, something that you guys kind of know. Somebody asked me, how do we kind of study for something when it's kind of a little bit obvious what stuff does? I really recommend looking for those things that maybe aren't as obvious or that you might not have really known much about before we really got into some of the chapters. Like, I don't know, cross-docking. Anyone remember what that is? Might want to look at that. We can kind of figure out what getting merchandise floor ready means, but let's think about what maybe, we can kind of figure out what shipping to the store and preparing to ship is, but what is cross-docking? So maybe we kind of look at those things that we aren't as familiar with. That's kind of how I would study for stuff related to the distribution center. Here we have our vertical integration, 3 types. You might want to know what those are and how they kind of work, how you'd be able to tell them apart, and what makes a vertical integration system different and independent. We have this one. We talked about this just pretty recently, right? Choosing our retail partners based on distribution intensity. Know the difference between exclusive, intensive, and exclusive. General merchandise retailers. You guys would absolutely love it if I asked what a department store is on a test. So maybe again here, look at those things that aren't quite as obvious. Kind of review them, what exactly they mean. And then finally, I have some questions. So any questions over any of those graphics?
What about the one Dr. Green published?
Dr. Green, there are going to be questions on the test related to what he talked about. So if you missed that lecture or that lesson, grab someone with a Hershey bar and you can leave their notes. But yeah, there'll be some questions on the test on that. So let's go over some questions. And again, this is just to kind of give you an idea. I'm actually not sure. Some of these questions may have ended up on your test. I don't really remember because I wrote the test a little while ago and I wrote the game this morning. So you might see some that are pretty similar. So let's ask this one. A service is an intangible offering that involves deep performance or effort that does what? Yeah. Now what's the key word here? A lot of these questions look really wordy.
Cannot be physically.
Yeah, and we're looking for a service that is intangible, right? So we're really defining the word intangible there. Here's another one. When marketers state services are something, they are referring to the fact that services are produced and consumed at the same time.
Perishable.
To be inseparable. We can't really, separate the hotel bed and the hotel. They're going to go together. They are, consumed at the same time. Being at a hotel and using a hotel bed happen at the same time. When the management or owners of a service establishment have a different idea than the customers do about the expectations and service standards, that firm will likely have what? B. Oh yeah. Check out this one. The answer's kind of in the question. Because they're saying expectations and service standards. Standards. There's no other answer with standards in there. So hopefully there'll be something like that on the test. Retailers know customers have defined something when it comes to waiting in line at the checkout counter. The amount of time consumers are willing to wait varies with the type of store. Yes, so where we kind of, we're done. That's good. All right, so technology and something are 2 ways a delivery gap can be reduced. So here's a nice, easy question. How do we reduce the delivery gap? We don't use this technology. What else do we use?
A, B,
Right, everybody, so many different answers. How many guys think A? How many think B? C? D? Or E? Or like none at all? The answer here is A. It's going to be empowering employees. So you want to know that, you can get technology, you can empower your employees so they can handle issues as they come up. We talked about how Ritz-Carlton gives their employees like $2,000 a day to handle issues that come up and deliver on the promise of good customer service. So empowering employees is certainly part of that. If a firm promises more than it can deliver, what happens? money, we're not making a profit, but we at least covered our costs, we're doing all right.
Wait, so it's where the, what did you say?
For the revenue equals the cost. You have zero profit, but you also have zero loss. The full price of a product or service includes all of the following except
Price of alternative.
let's look at E. Is the value of the consumer's time, is that part of our full price of a product? Yeah, it's the customer's value of time, right? C and D are kind of the same, shipping and travel costs, so those you know what I think about. So now we have taxes, the price of an alternative product. Yeah, we don't really care what somebody else might be charging, because that doesn't affect what we're actually paying to get everything done. So, that would be price. The traditional demand curve with economic theory is used by marketers to understand what? This is nice. You guys are just to guess what we should say. It kind of seems like it should be C, but the answer is actually D. Yeah, our customers. And then we have another one. According to demand curves, the higher the price, the less quantity consumers will buy. Yeah, that'd be right.
Economics.
You guys are gonna like ace this, right?
Yeah.
I know Chris is. What's the answer? The answer is B, the less quantity consumers will buy. Chris is like, I'm gonna do it. All right, labor, materials, and energy are typically what type of costs?
Six.
Are they fixed?
Or inelastic.
Is our labor the same every single time? Which one is it? Yeah, it actually changes, so that would be variable. The fact that millions of consumers are using online search engines for comparison shopping has done what? Yep, to increase their price sensitivity. Another true and false, every marketing decision is affected by or has an effect on the supply chain. We have two votes for true and false. The answer, what do you think, Stephanie? It is true. Every marketing decision is affected or has an effect on the supply chain. All right, why does supply chain management add value for customers? Check it out. Which answer only has customers in it? C. Yeah, we're getting our products to our customers efficiently. That's how we add value. Which of the following is not a common activity associated with logistics management?
Product.
C.
The answer is going to be C. Yeah. So we want to check out. You guys want to do one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Last one. Manufacturers use wholesalers and retailers. Why?
A.
It is C. All right. So we'll see you guys on Friday, and then you're